Anticipatory grief and grief bursts. What you need to know to help you through them. So our beloved animal's aging and end-of-life phase is challenging to enter and to go through. And this time brings up many emotions and a sense of sadness and longing for them because we want them to live forever. And it's natural to run through a whole bunch of scenarios of what their final days may be like, worry about how will you know when it's time, and also having fears of what it's like to be living without them. Whether your animal is in their senior years, has had a life-threatening diagnosis, or has a chronic illness, the emotions that come up at this time are mixed and they're many. And this is the beginning phase of your grief journey, and it's known as anticipatory grief. Many pet parents begin to experience this during the end-of-life journey of their animal. Welcome to the End and After channel. I'm Hunda Mäkinen, certified animal communicator and end-of-life and grief educator. I'm here to provide information, education, and inspiration for your relationship with your pet. Thank you for subscribing and to liking my channel, because this is helping me reach more pet parents looking for a new level of communication and compassion and connection with their pets. So in this video, I'm going to be talking briefly about what anticipatory grief is, explain what a grief burst is and its triggers. I want to share a personal experience that I had with you, and I want to share 5 steps that you can take to help you the next time that you're experiencing a grief burst. So anticipatory grief encompasses the emotions of sadness, anger, frustration, depression, anxiety, and fear as you're reconciling yourself with the news of a diagnosis or an illness or your animal's aging and seeing their changes, and you're thinking about your remaining time with your beloved animal. Your emotions from your anticipatory grief then actually have a way of showing up out of nowhere and leaving you instantly overwhelmed. So these moments when you are overcome by emotion, these are actually what are known as grief bursts. Grief bursts can be experienced before, during, and after the loss of your pet. And you're not alone in experiencing these bursts. Knowing that they're normal can actually help you accept them a little better when they happen, because they really are there to help you process your grief emotions. So grief bursts can include a range of any of your emotions associated with grief and with your pain. And they're often also unexpected and unpredictable. And no one likes them when they show up, as they often happen randomly and often in public places when you're completely caught off guard by them. You literally can be just perfectly fine before, and then next thing you know, you're having a grief burst. And they can actually leave you feeling really drained, tired, embarrassed, or even ashamed, especially if you experience one in public. So other times when you've had one at home, you may feel a little tired. You may even feel a little lighter and clearer than before, and that happens as well. So what triggers grief bursts? Anything. Interestingly enough, grief burst triggers are related to your senses. So what do you see, hear, smell, or feel actually becomes a trigger for your memories with your pet. And it's these memories that are connected to your emotions and your heart. So for instance, memories like the smell of their bedding, finding a toy, or their hair around the house or on your clothes or in the car, or pulling that forgotten treat out of a pocket of a jacket, or even sometimes seeing another animal that looks or sounds or acts like your animal used to. So when grief bursts happen in a public place, it can be awkward and challenging for sure. And as all you want to do is really run and hide. And often people who experience them are rushing to go outside or find a place where they can be alone. So when you're in a space that you feel safe, you can actually give yourself permission to feel what's coming up and let yourself move through your feelings, because it will pass with greater ease if you can have that time to do that. Grief bursts don't like to be stuffed down, and actually they often can't be. Grief bursts are messy at the best times, And they are even worse when they happen in public because there's this stigma to holding yourself together. But if you can sit with the intense emotion in public, yes, it's really vulnerable and it's overwhelming. And it does take a lot to be present and gentle with yourself when it does happen. I had a grief burst that happened last year after Bosphorus, my 11-year-old Rottweiler, died. I too found myself having grief bursts in unexpected places, like the grocery store, when I heard a song from an Instagram reel that I had created about him. And I had another one when I was in a pet store buying food for my cats. And I realized I didn't need to buy any more food for him. So at the beginning of my public grief bursts, I literally just quickly left and went to my car. But I also want to share with you that as you heal and time passes, that the frequency of these grief bursts does lessen. When, after having had a few, I knew that they wouldn't last so long, so I was actually able to stay and ride some of them out in public when there was people around me. And I would actually go, oh, hey, I'm actually okay. I'm just having a grief burst. And I would let my emotion move through me, and then I would continue on with what I was doing. Now, not everyone is going to be comfortable with a grief burst, let alone one in public, and I totally get that. But what I honestly learned was that most people in public will actually walk away, or they're going to ignore you and they're going to give you your space. And at times when I shared that I was having a grief burst, most people actually gave me a compassionate look and a nod. So I want to share with you the 5 steps that you can take for the next time you're experiencing a grief burst, especially when it's in public, so you can have some more control versus it having full control of you. So the 5 steps to help you the next time you experience a grief burst are: acknowledge and name your emotion that's coming up. So for example, is it sadness, anger, fear? Because this is actually helping you lessen the emotional charge and feel more control of it. Then secondly, decide whether you need to leave and find a quiet place, or if you can stay where you are. Thirdly, ground and take a deep breath and literally push your feet into the ground, because this is helping your body become more present in your environment. Say to yourself, I'm okay. I'm having a grief burst. This will pass. This is helping your brain know what you are experiencing, and it's going to help you move through this with more ease and acceptance, because this is helping to also settle your nervous system and feel like you are more in the driver's seat of your emotions. When it's over, take a few deep breaths and recollect yourself. Decide, do you need to leave where you are? Or can you continue on with what you were doing before it happened? Most of all, really thank your grief burst for helping you release and heal your pain. Later, you can decide whether you want to journal or sit in nature, go for a walk, take a nap, go for a run, speak to a friend, or even with a therapist. When you allow your grief burst, know that you're helping yourself heal a part of your hurt heart with a new acceptance and self-compassion. So anticipatory grief is the mixed emotions you feel at the start when you begin to face the mortality of your beloved animal. Grief bursts are these emotions needing to come to the surface and come up to help you release a little bit of your profound grief and pain in intense, bite-sized ways. So be gentle with yourself and tender with your heart when you're experiencing one. Accepting the emotions that you feel about your beloved pet at this time begins your grief journey, and know that your grief bursts and their timing is actually all part of your personal grief healing. It's bringing you healing in just the right way that you need to release, because your body, mind, and spirit only gives you what you can handle in a little bit at a time. I want to thank you for watching today's video. If you want to learn more, click in the link in the description below. I'd love to hear your comments and questions about your anticipatory grief and your grief bursts. If you found this video helpful, please like and share it with someone you know who may need more understanding in their own grief journey with their animal. Until next time, stay curious about new levels of communication, compassion, and connection in your relationship with your pet.